It was Thanksgiving Day. It was also my 40th birthday. And I was sitting on the table with my family and friends, enjoying food, fellowship, and football, and that sort, right? It's one of my favorite holidays. It's also my 40th birthday. And in the midst of being around people that I love and spending time with, I didn't feel the same. I honestly felt like a shell of myself. I was even to the point where I actually didn't even recognize who I was at that particular time. You may be asking yourself why. And the reason why was because at that point in time, I had already seen some things that on paper, many people would think would be successful. I went to the right schools, got multiple degrees. I worked with many prominent companies and businesses. I even had a business of my own. And so I also had that on the professional side, but also had a wife of 9 years at the time. Also twin daughters. Like I said, food in front of me. Just was really in a good place at this point. But I still felt off. To be truthful with you, at that time, I was feeling burned out, emotionally confused about where I was in this particular stage of life for me. I was overweight, and I just wasn't sure where this whole thing called life was going to take me at this point. Because I also survived a number of troublesome periods, sometimes where at the most recent point, I had a business that failed, and that caused me to have to start over financially. So there was a lot of things that were going on there. But what I did recognize at that point in time was if I didn't take time to figure out quickly, where do I go from here? Where not too long ago, I was even thinking whether life was worth living at that point. If I didn't figure out what to do from that point on, after celebrating my 40th birthday, I had a feeling the second half of my life wasn't going to be too bright. And unfortunately, that would mean something not only as far as how my life would go, but also how it would impact the people I cared about. In particular, my wife and my children as well. So what did I do? After that Thanksgiving dinner, I decided I needed some time to push the reset button, really figure out what I was going to do at this point. So I actually went dark on all social media for about 6 months. I wasn't on Facebook, wasn't on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I just was off of a lot of things. People didn't hear from me. A person might have reached out every now and then, but what I learned during that period where just coming off of social media, where we're so caught up on what people were saying, what people were sharing, how am I looked at upon by other people? What's my reputation looking like? Do people care I even exist? What I learned during that time that I was dark was that during those 6 months or so, the only people that really cared about me even being around was my wife, my children, and my mother. And why is that significant? It's significant because I realized for myself that my life mattered at least for those people, which meant that my life was worth living going forward. Because I had people that depended on me, that enjoyed being around with me. But I also realized I had a purpose still to fulfill. I had a potential still to realize. I had people still to impact, even beyond just my family and my own household. But I needed to start somewhere to get on the right path, that if I am going to start living more intentionally and to make the second half of my life better than the first half, I need to start improving myself. I need to start taking better care of myself. And that started with just a simple walk around the neighborhood one morning. Just went outside, headphones on, and I just walked around a few laps. And I felt good from that, getting some sunshine and that sort. But then I did it again the next day. And then I did it again the following day, to the point where I started to enjoy spending the first part of my morning outside, Mother Nature, with God, with myself. Just time to think, time to reflect. And what I later realized was that that habit started to build within itself, that I enjoyed doing that on weekday mornings. And then later had me asking myself, okay, what else can I do to help improve myself? So I started improving the way I was eating. I started making sure I had enough sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night. I started exercising more. Started with simple push-ups on my knees, and then later built up to full-blown push-ups beyond my personal record. What I'm trying to share with you is that what one small habit started to accumulate to multiple habits. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing myself a lot better in the mirror. I started better appreciating who I was. My wife could take notice. My children could take notice. I had more energy for my family. I had more reason for being. And I had more optimism for what life had to hold for me. And so what I thought to myself in the midst of that, after being dark for so long on social media, was this simple question. If I could go through that sort of change in a short period of time by changing a few simple habits, who else can do the same? Who else can have that same sort of reset for them? That by first understanding that we should have optimism and reason for living in the second half of our life, and people to live for, and things to experience, that we should strive to be the best version of ourselves and how we take care of ourselves, and not depending on somebody else to do it for us. But maybe people have that same sort of belief, and maybe that's you as well watching this, but you just don't know where to go, what information you're lacking or missing to help actually put yourself in a position to be the best version of yourself compared to where you are now or where you were before. And so what I felt called to do was help take this mess that I was living or coming out of and make it more of a message. And so that's what came out to essentially become Life After 40. Our goal is essentially helping other people like myself, 40 and beyond, with the tools, the resources, the knowledge, the tips, the encouragement, the coaching, to help them thrive in the second half of life. Really focus on building small, simple, sustainable, healthy habits across nutrition, exercise, mindset, and recovery. All with the main focus of, if I can improve the individual, that individual will become likely a better husband, a better wife, a better spouse, a better parent, a better employee, a better entrepreneur, a better member of the community. What it means is that by just you improving and being the best version of yourself, the people around you that depend on you, that work with you, that fellowship with you, that study with you, you'll have a positive influence on them as well. And that they will enjoy the benefits of you putting yourself first and taking better care of yourself. And so if I take it out a grand scheme of things here, what am I trying to focus on? Why am I putting so much effort in Life After 40 to help people like you thrive in the second half of life? It's really simple. What we're trying to do, grand scheme of things, is to help end the midlife crisis globally. That's what we're trying to do. One person at a time, one habit at a time. Because my belief is that if we can improve the person, give that person greater sense of reason for living to the best that they can be, to realize their full potential, to live more abundantly and be so in overflow that they want to pour into others and pay it forward in this next stage of life, that I believe our communities will become better. Our workplaces will become better. And of course, our families at home will become better as a result. So this isn't just about me anymore. This is about helping people like you become the best versions of themselves, not just for you, but for your communities as well. So with that, that's the reason why we started Life After 40. This is definitely something that I didn't anticipate doing to get started with, but this is one that I feel like I'm glad I went through what I went through to get to this point, to be able to have this to help out many people across the country and hopefully around the world, be able to be the best version of themselves after 40 and thrive in the second half of life. Welcome to Life After 40.